Hi everyone, my name is Alistair Clark, and this is the first of a series of MapRice GIS tutorial videos that we're putting together for this season. This video is looking at updating farm and paddock boundaries. The page that I'm on at the moment is the home page and will be the page that you're brought to when you log in to Agtrix via the Growers portal. Once we've gotten to this page, you'll see your farm map on the right hand side of the page, and on the left hand side a series of buttons and options that we can work through. To update your farm boundary and paddock boundaries, we need to go to the Selected Farms button. So I'm going to take my mouse over to the Selected Farms tab, and from here we're going to click on Selected Farms. This page is then going to bring up a list of all the farms that are attached to your grower number. In this instance, it's just the one farm that's attached to my grower number, which is Rapple. To get to the list of paddocks and to then edit a paddock or add a new paddock, I'm going to click on this line here that shows the farm number. So by clicking on there, you'll see it loads through, and we now have a list of all the paddocks that have been drawn out for the Rapple farm. Now, to add a new paddock to the farm list, we're going to come to this action button here, and then come from the drop down to the add paddock option. Once we've clicked on the add paddock option, we've got a new page, which is actually the add paddock page with the new details for this particular step. Now, a required field in this particular one is the test field. Now, I'm going to call it Alistair's paddock. And once I've added the name in, I can then move to the next step, which is actually drawing the particular image. Now, what we're going to do is click on the first of all of these little white buttons down the left of the page, which is New Drawing. Now, by clicking on that, you'll know it's active because it's then become yellow. And if you bring your mouse onto the page, you can see that there's the blue dot, which allows you to click on a particular point. Before I zoom in and start drawing out to show you how to draw in the paddock, what we're going to do is turn off this toggle draw snapping option. What that option does is mean that the lines that you're drawing will snap to the paddock directly next to it based on the line that was previously drawn. We're going to take this off because it allows you to move your mouse more freely and click on the points that you want. Now, if I turn that off, I can then zoom right in and come down to the area where I'm going to draw out Alistair's paddock. To start the paddock, what we need to do is find a point that we want to start on. I'm going to be using this triangle-shaped paddock, and I'm going to click in one of the corners here to start that off. Once you've started the point, you'll see that you now have a blue line. You don't have to hold on to the clicker on the mouse. You can just move that freely, and then when you get to a next point, just click on that point to create a corner and then begin moving around from there. What you can do to make the drawing more accurate is obviously zoom in to as far as it will allow you, and then that way you can get as accurate as you can to the actual corners and perimeter of the paddock. Now I'm going to come back out a little bit for this particular one and make it a bit of a rushed effort. And then once we've connected all the points, to finish that paddock off, all we need to do is come back to the start, and you'll see it snaps onto that point, and then we just click there, and the new paddock is now highlighted yellow, and the area of the paddock has been automatically calculated up the top there as 3.15 hectares. Now, if we're happy with that area and happy with the paddock drawing, we can come in and click Save. Now, once saved, you'll see that on the left-hand side of the page, for this example, the new paddock, Alistair's paddock, has been added to the list. It's just that second one there. And if we zoom in, we can actually see the new paddock drawn there in blue. Now, if for some reason we need to change that shape or we wanted to sort of readjust it, what we can then do is edit the paddock. And we can do that by finding the paddock name on the list and then coming over and clicking the edit icon here, so the pen and paper being edit, to come onto a similar page to what we saw before, which allows us to actually edit the drawing. So here we now see the paddock that we're editing highlighted in yellow, and then we then have a series of options which you can work through. One of the options is actually to delete the drawing and start again, and we can do that by clicking on the delete button, which will make it yellow, and then clicking on the paddock, which will remove it. And if we did it that way, you'd then be able to click on the new drawing option and start drawing a new option. But what we want to do is actually just edit the current drawing. So the second option down is the edit drawing option, which means that we can click on that, and you'll see that the corner points that I added in previously are now highlighted in yellow, showing that it's in edit mode. Again, you'll see that the toggle draw snapping option is turned on. We're going to turn that off again for this option to make it easier to move the points of the paddock. And I can then zoom in to start getting ready to edit. Now you can see in this example, when I come to a point, it's going to go blue, and I can then move that point out to a particular point. And I can do this by moving the points, but I also have the option to just click on anywhere on the line and then drag that across from there to edit the paddock in that way as well. So I could take out a chunk of the paddock if I need to, like so. The other way that you can edit a paddock is actually to remove some of the existing points. Now what I'm going to do for this example is remove these 2 points here to bring it back to being a more triangular shape. If I hold my finger on the shift key on your keyboard and then left click on that point, you'll see that disappears and that line then connects up. And if I do it again, that point's disappeared and we now have that line there. And then just to finish it off, I'm going to remove that last one there as well. And we have the line going straight through from corner to corner. So that's how the edit option looks. And once we're happy with that, we can just again click on the edit option to turn that off. You'll see the paddock is now adjusted its hectare size slightly. And we have the Alistair paddock name back appearing, which means edit option is finished. And then we can click save to finalize that step. Now you'll see now that the paddock has been updated both on the map and in the list with the slightly adjusted hectares. If we wanted to actually delete a particular paddock, like I'm going to do with this example here, all we need to do is find it on the list, click the rubbish bin icon, which is the delete paddock button, and then we're going to delete that paddock. So it's going to ask us prompt if we're sure to proceed. We are, so I've clicked OK. And it's just going to take a moment to finalize, but you'll see both on the paddock side, it's done it already. That paddock is now removed, and on the list, we no longer have Alistair's paddock there available. So that's how we can go about changing, either adding in a paddock and both editing and deleting a paddock as well. If we actually wanted to delete a farm boundary, we can go from this page, we can go back to where we have that My Selected Farms page, which shows the list of paddocks. And to edit a farm boundary, we're going to hover over that line, but instead of just clicking on the line itself, we're going to come down to these 3 dots, which give us more options. And we're going to come down to the Edit Farm option, that second one on the drop-down list there. Now, from this page, we get a similar page to the Edit Paddock that we were looking at before. And you can see, again, it's highlighted itself, that farm boundary is yellowed because it's the farm that we're looking at. And we have the option of editing the paddock similar to before. By clicking on there, we can see the points that have been added in, and we can start editing it out. Now, I'm not going to go through editing again because it's been run through in the previous steps, but this is where we could go to actually change the farm boundary that it's showing there as well. So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to cancel it for this particular time because I don't actually want to make a change. Now, if I click cancel, I'm back to this page. Nothing's changed because we haven't made an edit, and we're back to where we were before. Now, by clicking on the back button again, I'm going to be back to the home page, and this is where we're back to being able to go through all the other options that are built into the MapRice page. Cool, so that's the end of the tutorial for updating farm and paddock boundaries. Keep an eye out for the rest of the MapRice GIS tutorial videos that will be coming out in the remainder of the season. Thanks.